Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hopefully, you're enjoying your weekend so far. We are not too far off, a few hours away from the start of the NFL Sunday slate. It's be the first Sunday of the NFL season. I'm excited. I know you are. We had a pretty good game on Thursday night that kicked it all off, which I'll talk about on this episode. Kind of let you know what happened in Lions versus Chiefs, where the game was won and lost. We'll talk about all that. Also, want to talk about Team USA, what they're doing over at FIBA World Cup. Probably not the result that a lot of fans were hoping for, but they can at least still leave the tournament with something. We'll talk about also my week one NFL picks. Have a graphic ready and everything. Have all the picks laid out. You'll be able to see all of my choices. It'll also be the graphic that's kind of like the scoreboard, so we'll see each week it'll be updated. Keep track of what my record is. We'll see by the end of the season if I can be, I don't know, 55%. Let's throw that out there. 55% is what we're shooting for. But before we get into all that, I do want to say shout out to all of you who, were with me from day one, as well as those of you who come along during the course of this ride. But 2 days ago was actually the 3-year anniversary of when I started the podcast. So that's crazy to think about, and definitely something I wanted to, shout out on here before getting started. So we're 3 years in. Let's go for 3 more years. Obviously, I have plans to go much further than that, but we'll keep it at a 3-year window. So thanks to all of you, whether you, like I said, one of the original listeners, if you're new, greatly appreciate it. Also, if you are watching this, appreciate that as well. Go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, share, follow. Also, notification bell if you're on YouTube. That way, you'll be notified every time I upload an episode. Greatly appreciate that as well. So, you know what? Let's just go ahead. We'll get into the first topic. Like I said, I can't wait to get into these picks. Have some surprises for you, but that's going to be at the end of the episode. So make sure you tune into that. But let's go ahead and discuss Team USA. I think that's a good place to start, where USA went into this where was it the best roster possible? No. I mean, we have to be honest with ourselves. Not all the top names were there, of course. So because of that, I feel like the expectations need to be tempered, to be honest with you. But they were there. They had hiccup against with Lithuania. There were other times where they looked somewhat dominant. Anthony Edwards had some really good games, like a coming out party. But against Germany, their lack of size finally came back to bite them. Germany beat them 113-111, knocking them out of the gold medal portion of the World Cup. They can still get a bronze if they beat Canada. But I mean, I think the main question is, especially for you tuning in, do you actually care that the U.S. isn't going to win gold at the World Cup, FIBA World Cup? Especially looking at it where not the top tier talent, not a lot of them were there. There's no Jason Tatum, no Donovan Mitchell, guys like that. So what did we learn? Anthony Edwards, like I said, up and down. Some decent shooting games, some poor shooting games. Kind of been what's been hindering him with his NFL game as well. Jaren Jackson, who I guess you'd have to say was their kind of lone member with size. That's an interesting conversation I've had with people. Jaren Jackson, for as big and imposing of a person that he is, or at least that he appears to be, I do think he, in his mind, wants to be, too finesse, too much of a perimeter guy at times, which I think is something that is holding Memphis back. We'll see if that isn't the case during the NBA season as we get there. But I mean, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because yeah, it's not the NBA title. It's not, I guess, the Olympics. You'd probably put ahead of FIBA World Cup. I mean, it is interesting to see these other countries around the world performing. I mean, I don't know. Once again, this is up to you. Do you fear that the gap between the U.S. and the rest of the world is continuing to close? If you look at the NBA, a lot of the top players are international, but collectively, you still have to say the U.S. has the best group. Like I said, I think it is what it is. Whether they won the gold or as it is now, they're not going to. I'm not too bothered by it, to be honest with you. So, yeah, the two shown here, Anthony Edwards, Paolo Banchero. There's a lot to look forward to them this upcoming season. I thought that's where most NBA fans are right now. They'll be like, let me know what's going on when we get at least the preseason in the NBA. And maybe the antennas get turned up a little bit more. But, yeah. Definitely had to start with that, like I said. Got to talk about the FIBA World Cup. Let's go ahead and get into this next story. So, Joe Burrow. Hold on a second. Joe Burrow got paid, got his big money contract, and he's now the highest paid quarterback, well, actually player. You have to say he's the highest paid player in the NFL right now. Obviously, the first question is going to be, is he worth it? Yeah. I mean, what else is there to say? Outside of Patrick Mahomes, of course, you'd have to say Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the league. It's a era of the quarterback, so obviously they're going to be more valued for these teams. It's an offseason where we saw Lamar Jackson get paid. And if you look at this, Burrow is a better player. So it's natural that he's going to get more. Also, Jalen Hurts got paid as well. So now the next question is obviously going to be, who's the next in line to get paid? And you figure that person will probably end up getting more than Joe Burrow. Now, in the back of my mind, it's a lot of questioning about how far will this go? Because it seems like each quarterback that ends up signing always signs for more than the previous one. But there's got to be a tipping point, right? And we know Trevor Lawrence will probably be up for some extension soon. I believe Herbert just got one, so maybe not Herbert, but I think Dak is in line. I thought there's another quarterback that I'm completely blanking on, but there's going to continue this kind of line of each offseason. Quarterbacks going to come up for money, and the question is going to be like, how crazy are these contracts going to get? Burrow, yes, he's taken Cincinnati to a Super Bowl. He hasn't won one yet, but he's going to make, I believe the contract is structured in a way that he's going to make like $50 million a season, something like that. Which Cincinnati has done a lot of work to create new avenues for revenue and everything, because the owner did tell us in the offseason that he plans on keeping Burrow, Higgins, Boyd, and Chase all together. I believe next in line is going to be Higgins to get a new deal. Then Chase, and then I guess Boyd. Like, how much money at the end of this will Cincinnati have tied up into just those four players? Then at what point will we start seeing that really affecting the rest of the roster? Because yes, those names are known commodities, but you're still dealing with a roster of 53. You're dealing with 11 offensively starting, 11 defensively. So you got to be able to spread that wealth around. If you tie it into too many top tier guys, you're going to suffer somewhere on the roster. So is this something where the Bengals kind of have more pressure to win now? Then that way, if they have to lose some pieces because they keep the core offensive guys together, the fans can say like, well, at least we won that title not too long ago. But if they get through this, no title, they're signing these guys and there's still nothing, then there could be some rumblings within the fan base. But like I said, I think it's the right move for Cincinnati because you guys already know I'm a big Joe Burrow guy. Even though he's not on the Patriots, which are my team, but I understand where talent is. So congratulations to Joe Burrow, and we'll see. We'll see if they're able to get over that hump this season after getting there and losing. You know the burning desire is there. We already know Joe Burrow has that fire in him, and now he's the leader. Well, he's already the leader, but now he's the high-paid leader. And with that, as we always know, comes the pressure to win a title. So can the Bengals meet that level of expectation and accomplish the goal, or will they come up short once again? All right, the next story we got. So as I said, taking a look at what happened on Thursday night. Well, I mean, first off, what a game it was. Like, let's be real. Really good game. It was kind of a slow moving game at first. Then it picked up a little bit. And then we got some crazy drama at the end. So going into it, the Chiefs were a 4.5-point favorite by the time they kicked off. Banner night for them and everything. But I gotta look, Detroit in that offensive line, which is why I chose this picture, because I wanted to get the offensive line in there. They were great. They were, meeting the Chiefs defensive line at the point of attack, pushing those guys back, giving Goff time, creating openings for David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, although Gibbs didn't get used as much as I kind of thought he would. Spoiler alert, kind of messed up with my fantasy lineup because he was starting for me, but it's only week 1, so not too big of a deal right now. But yeah, they were able to at times put together very dominant drives against the Chiefs defense, which obviously did not have Chris Jones there, although Chris Jones was up in the expensive seats with family and his 2 agents, which became a whole story after. And at times, like I said, defensively, you could see moments, I'll say, where you could ask yourself, if Chris Jones was there, would that have gone a little bit differently? But over the course of the whole game, you have to say the Chiefs defense did their job. They held Detroit to 21? Yeah, because they lost 21-20. So you figure with a Patrick Mahomes offense, you only give up 21 points, you should win that game. And like I said, at the very end, the Chiefs had an opportunity. They forced a 4th down stop on the Lions in Chiefs territory, but not too far from the 50-yard line. So Chiefs had a shorter field to go, needing a field goal to take over the lead. But they called a questionable play when it was 4th and 20. They lined up to go for it, had a false start. 4th and 25. At that point, I was like, you got to punt. You had 3 timeouts left. Why risk it? They decided to go for it. I guess give Mahomes a little bit of credit. He threw it kind of a jump ball over the middle of the field, but he was able to get it up and over the defenders. I believe that was Sky Moore who had a chance to catch it, but it went off his fingertips, and the rest is history. Detroit ended up getting the win. But then, look, if you have been paying attention to social media and everything, you already know. There's a certain player that's been getting highly criticized based off of the game for their performance. And and that's one Kadarius Toney. Look, I don't want to sit here and just beat up on the guy because, like I said, you go to Twitter, X, whatever you call it, you go to Instagram, you go to TikTok, you're seeing all kinds of posts poking fun at Kadarius Toney and his performance, lack of production, I should say, on Thursday night. But and like I said, it's the first week of the season. Maybe he's putting too much pressure on himself with no Travis Kelce, but yeah, it was not a good night to be Kadarius Toney. Like, if you look at the box score, which once again, I don't know if you have or not, but if you take a look at it, Kadarius Toney had one rushing attempt, I think for -1 yards. He had one catch for 1 yard. So net yardage, 0 for him. And the worst part is, even as bad as those numbers are, he had 4 key drops. I'm pretty sure it's 4. Hopefully I'm not underselling him, but he had 4 key drops. Even worse than that, the one that's here in the picture, this drop led to an interception for Branch, who took it into the end zone for a pick 6, which ultimately ended up being a pretty pivotal moment in the game. Like I said, they lost by 1. You take that touchdown off the board, who knows how the game goes without that. But we can't really play make-believe here. It happened. You know, Toney's like deactivated his Twitter, X account. Obviously, I'm assuming he was getting some, we'll call them interesting comments. I mean, I don't know what the Chiefs will do with Kadarius Toney. Like I said, it's 1 week. I don't think they're going to necessarily overreact to what happened. But if Toney has another game in week 2 where he's dropping passes, his stay in Kansas City probably won't last too much longer. Like, some of them, it looked like he's allowing the ball to get into his body because maybe he's questioning his hands. He doesn't seem like he's in the right position when the ball's coming to him, taking his eye off the... I don't know. Everything that you could do wrong as a wide receiver, fundamentally, it seems like that's what he's doing in this game. So it's something to watch for week 2, how Toney does when Mahomes throw to him. We'll see. But I'm pretty sure he hasn't been cut yet. So he's still a member of the Chiefs for now. But yeah, just taking a quick look at the numbers to kind of give you more of an idea. Mahomes was 21 for 39 for 226. He had 2 touchdowns. Okay. But not necessarily like Mahomes-like numbers you would expect. Once again, the 4 drops have to factor into that. Plus, there was, I think, 2 more drops outside of Toney, so there's like 6 drops in total. His numbers would look a lot different with those catches. Maybe the most troubling stat, Mahomes was the leading rusher. 6 carries, 45 yards. Not the way Kansas City wants to run their team. So Pacheco, 8 for 23, not good enough. Edwards-Helaire, I mean, we actually saw him. 6 for 22, not going to get it done. They're going to need more production from the running game, especially the weeks that Travis Kelce will be out. Because Kelce's absence changes the passing game so much that you need Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire to step up. Possibly even more troubling, Pacheco is the leading receiver, 4 catches, 31 yards. Like, I know Mahomes likes to spread the ball around, but somebody needs to step up. Valdez-Scantling, 2 catches, 48 yards. Justin Ross, 1 catch, 6 yards. Sky Moore didn't have a catch. And I've heard from a lot of Chiefs fans that Sky Moore was a guy to watch this year. Like I said, just 1 week, can't overreact. Detroit on the other side, Jared Goff, 22 for 35, 253. So he passed for more yards than Mahomes. You give Detroit a definite plus for that. Montgomery, 21 carries, 74 yards. Less than 4 yards a carry, but the 74 yards, good production. Gibbs, 7 for 42. That's 6 yards a carry, really good. So between those two, you got over 100 yards rushing. Detroit loves to see that. Detroit wants to run the ball to set up play action and everything like that. St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, six catches, 71 yards. There were some drives where, I think it was like 2 drives at least, where he probably got all 6 of his catches, but he looked like he was always open. The Chiefs had no answer for him. He was making big catches. So I definitely like what I saw from him. Expecting a pretty good year from St. Brown. Sam Laporta, first game in the NFL, 5 catches, 39 yards. You'll take that. Reynolds, 4 for 80. And I believe the second to last driver, so he had a big third down catch. So, yeah. Like I said, first week, not going to overreact, but interesting. Lions came in with a lot of hype behind them. They lived up to it. It wasn't a flawless game from them in any way. They did have some mistakes, but they got the win on the road at Arrowhead. Not an easy feat. So if you're a Lions fan, you're definitely feeling more optimistic here today going into the NFL weekend. If you're a Chiefs fan, you might be like, so when's Travis Kelce coming back? Just asking for a friend. Also, the Chris Jones thing, like I said, I saw some of the talk shows where they're like, Chris Jones being there with his agents by him and like the family part of the stadium was a bad look by him because he's showing up, then he could be on the field because they need him, whatever. But I do wonder if a performance like Thursday night, if that were to happen in week 2, which actually, let me double check to see who they play, but maybe we get a little bit more movement on the Chris Jones front. I want to say the Chiefs have not a division game. I think they have a pretty good game week 2. The Jaguars. Just had to think about that. Jaguars are supposed to be pretty good offensively. Trevor Lawrence. You got Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Etienne. And Etienne's a pretty good back in terms of running the ball. So the Jaguars have a good rushing game against the Chiefs defense. Trevor Lawrence can put up some numbers. Maybe that Chris Jones contract would, like I said, be a little bit closer to being completed. But we'll see. Don't want to necessarily, bash Kansas City too much for week 1. They still have 16 games left. They could very easily turn it around. If they beat Jacksonville week 2, will we really be talking as much about this Detroit loss? Probably not. That's also the beauty of the NFL. There's always another opportunity. I guess I'll tell you. I guess until you get to week 18, final week of the season, of course. But for now, it's always another opportunity. All right, let's get into the main reason why we're here, and that's these NFL picks. Now, let's just go ahead and do it. So here we go. This is the chomping at the bit picks scoreboard for the 2023-2024 NFL season. It's so good that it already represents the loss I took from the Kansas City game, because I did have Kansas City, and it was 5.5 at the time. So Kansas City in the points, whatever. Lost it. Whatever. The same, I'm not going to overreact to week 1. I'm not going to overreact to one missed pick. So the rest of the lines are correct as of, I want to say Saturday night. I guess technically there could be some movement on the lines Sunday morning before kickoff, but for my picks, we're going with these numbers. So with these, I'll run down my picks. I guess a couple of games I'll stop on and give you something to watch. I might even make a bold prediction or two. We'll kind of see how this goes. Comment section, you can always also let me know how you want me to do this pick segment. If you like it, if you don't, I definitely want to hear from you. Also, remember, like, subscribe, share, follow, notification bell. Greatly help out. Had to drop that in there again. So, first game, this is what I've gone back and forth on. I feel like when I first did this graphic, I was kind of going San Francisco over the Steelers. But I think I've come to the conclusion that the Steelers will cover against the Niners. With it being 2.5, I think at that point I'm kind of saying the Steelers probably win the game. But I definitely think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a battle of the newly extended out Nick Bosa putting pressure on Kenny Pickett versus TJ Watt, almost Defensive Player of the Year last year, trying to put pressure on Brock Purdy. Whichever one of those two makes more of an impact will probably affect who wins this game. I'm taking the Steelers here, plus the 2.5. And I also have, so if you see verse, that means I'm taking the home team. If you see at, I'm taking the road team. Second game, Falcons-Panthers. Being in the Atlanta area, this is a game that's one I'll be paying attention to because it will be on in my area, of course. I'm going with the Falcons, minus the 3.5. Although I'm not that confident in it, I would say, because I do think there's an opportunity for Carolina to make somewhat of a statement week 1, with it being Bryce Young's first start, which usually means there's going to be some rough moments. But I do think Bryce Young's going to be very mature and the lights won't be too bright for him. So I think he will perform well. That game's going to come down to the Falcons' revamped defense. Can it confuse Bryce Young, cause a couple of turnovers? And what does the offense look like with Desmond Ridder, who I'm not sold on, but Atlanta seems to be and wants to tell everybody that they feel like Ridder's going to be good enough? Let's see. They drafted Bijan Robinson high, so I'm expecting they're going to be a lot of run game, trying to go on long drives, kill some clock, play possession where short third downs where you can run it, or maybe quick little passes, keep the chains moving. Expect to see a lot of that. So it might be whichever team wins that turnover battle, or whoever performs best on third down probably wins the game, giving the Falcons minus the 3.5. Next up, so I will say, this is my upset of the week, I guess, or most surprising line, whatever you want to call it. I got the Texans plus 9.5 against the Ravens. I fully expect the Ravens to win the game, but I could see something where, this is one of those issues with picking against the spread. Sometimes the backdoor cover gets you. I could see this being one of those games where, the Ravens are up by like 16 or something late in the game, playing a little prevent. The Texans go on the field, score a meaningless touchdown in terms of the course of the game, who wins or loses. But to those of you looking at the lines and everything, that'd be very important because that would lead to a Texan cover. But I am interested to see what D'Amico Ryans has in terms of a defensive game plan to go up against this Ravens and their new offense. We'll see how it looks. We'll see what Lamar's responsibilities are. Does he run the ball as much? Will we see him throwing the ball downfield a little bit more? Intrigued. But we'll see. Whoever wins that battle will definitely affect the outcome of the game. Next up, which could be maybe the best game of the Sunday slate, I've got the Bengals minus 1.5 at Cleveland facing Deshaun Watson and the Browns. If you saw the last episode, which hopefully if you did, you'll catch right after this one, where I did give you my playoff predictions. I have both of these teams in the playoffs. So this game will be the first of the double dip in terms of the playoff implications. In case of a tiebreaker, these two matchups will be big in that case. But the AFC North is going to be tough. So whoever obviously has the best record within the division, it'll definitely give them a leg up at the end of the season. So for Cincinnati, it's going to be that high-powered offense against the Cleveland defense that, I believe Denzel Ward's going to play. He's out of concussion protocol. That's big. Because the biggest thing with Cleveland's going to be their secondary, keeping all those guys healthy, especially to go up against the Cincinnati team where, like I said, Chase, Higgins, and Boyd coming at your defense, you better have a plan to stop them. And it's going to be our first opportunity to see Deshaun Watson after a full offseason with the team. Does he look any better? Does he look any different? I'm expecting him to, but we'll just see. We'll have to see to find out. Next game, Vikings-Bucks. I don't know if this one is all that entertaining in terms of, you guys listening, unless you're, or watching. Although, side note, Chompin at the Bit is now back on the audio side. So you should be able to listen to it over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart, the Castbox, and a couple others. But the major players are there, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, and like I said, a few other places. So make sure you check that out as well. If you're missed the part and don't have the ability to watch it on YouTube or Facebook, go to one of those audio platforms, give it a listen. Give it a review as well as a like. We'll appreciate that as well. But shout out to you over on the audio side, guys. Say that. Welcome back. So I'm taking the Vikings minus the 5.5. I think a lot of this talk about the Vikings like falling off the face of the earth this year after last season where a lot of people doubted them, even though they had a pretty good season. But I do think a lot of that talk is a little bit premature. Yes, they don't have Dalvin Cook, but you add Jordan Addison, who should get some one-on-ones opposite Justin Jefferson. You got TJ Hawkinson over the middle of the field at the tight end position. Madison, who's now the new number one. I've seen some people who are encouraging, thinking he's going to kind of pick up where Dalvin Cook left off. Obviously not 100%, but a good enough percentage. And then there's others who doubt whether or not he can handle the number one workload. So, well, that's definitely something that we'll have to check out. But it's also we'll get our first chance to see Baker Mayfield as the starter. Can he put up, good enough numbers to keep Tampa in the game? But give me Minnesota minus the 5.5. Next, I have Washington by a touchdown over the Cardinals. Cardinals right now, they're starting Joshua Dobbs. Need I say any more? And for Washington coming off a preseason where I feel like Sam Howell performed pretty well. Want to see what that looks like week one. See what Bieniemy's game plan is for this Washington offense. But I think Washington takes care of business here. Starts off their year 1-0. Next up, got Tennessee and the Saints. I will say, if you've seen me over on Sports Empire Network, this game is interesting for more than one reason, as I do a show with a Saints fan on Tuesday nights on the Big Three. I've also done a show with a Titans fan over on Sports Empire Network Monday nights on Cheap Seats. So, if you check me out on either one of those nights, the mood of said person could depend on how this game turns out. I'm taking the Titans +3. I think with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, I know there's a lot of questions about, who's going to get him the ball. Tannehill is good enough to find DeAndre Hopkins, so don't worry about that. Can the Saints stop Derrick Henry, force Tennessee to be one-dimensional? That's going to be key for them. The other side, Derek Carr is coming in. Clear upgrade over Jameis Winston, over Andy Dalton, over Taysom Hill, whoever. Is it enough to add to the win total from the previous season? I think for Saints fans, they're hoping Derek Carr turns them into a 10-win type of team. Gotta see it. Tennessee has a maybe underrated defense. Look, I'm never going to say anything bad about Mike Vrabel. I love him as a head coach. I think he has Tennessee ready to go here, even though it's a tough game on the road. I think the Saints named like Steve Gleason and another player who I think is dealing with ALS, honorary captains or something. So the emotion level in New Orleans is going to be really high. The team's going to want to perform well for them. But I think Tennessee will be able to handle their own there. So give me Tennessee +3 against the Saints. Okay, let's run to the second half of this pick segment. Jaguars and the Colts. Give me the Jags -4.5. First week with Anthony Richardson. Don't expect anything too big from him. No Jonathan Taylor, which is obviously going to hurt. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Jaguars are getting Calvin Ridley. I think it's going to make a big difference for their offense. So give me the Jags -4.5. Next up, Seahawks, Rams. Give me the Seahawks -4.5. Look, Geno Smith was a feel-good story last year. I think he continues that this year. Performs well against a Rams team that doesn't look too great on paper. How does Stafford look coming off of the offseason with the surgery? Kupp is on IR for the first 4 weeks. Who steps up in his absence to become some kind of threat in the passing game? Cam Akers, when healthy, can run the ball pretty well. Yeah, but give me the Seahawks -4.5. Even though I don't think JSN's going to play, but Metcalf, Lockett. I think Walker is questionable with an illness or something. They got Stack Charbonnet. So, give me the Seahawks there. Next up, the game that's closest to my heart. I actually do a couple of shows on Sports Empire Network with an Eagles fan. I'm a Patriots fan. So that interaction could be interesting depending on how this game goes. I got the Patriots +3.5. I just don't see how Robert Kraft has seemingly been putting pressure on Belichick and the players to perform well this year after the disaster of last season. Now, normally Belichick kind of takes the first 4 weeks to figure things out. I don't know if that's going to fly anymore. So I think the Patriots come out with a plan to run the ball, keep Hurts and that offense off the field. Although Ramondre Stevenson is questionable with an illness, hopefully he can play because he and Zeke was definitely a pretty good 1-2 combination that would be better than, I guess, Zeke being thrust in as the number one with, I don't even know who the backer would be in that situation. Kevin Harris, I don't know. But I think offensively they do enough to keep this game close late in the game to the point where it could be a situation where one of these teams has the ball driving late, and can the other defense stop them? I fully expect it to be closer than a lot of people think. I'm hearing some people thinking that the line should have been Eagles minus a double-digit number. I think that's crazy, but I'm also a Patriots fan, so maybe there's some homerism in there. But give me the Patriots +3.5. Broncos, Raiders. Give the Broncos -3.5. The Raiders have a lot of issues right now. One of their top defensive players does want to play for the coach and the GM. Kind of a problem. You're relying on a quarterback who's I guess a little fragile, Jimmy Garoppolo. You have a stud wideout in Devontae Adams, but how happy is he right now? And for the Broncos, a lot of questions there. They did answer probably their biggest question with coach by bringing in Sean Payton. But what can Russell Wilson do first week with a new voice in Sean Payton leading the team? Will he step his game up from last season? But give the Broncos minus the 3.5. Bears Packers might be the most interesting because of the two quarterbacks involved. Justin Fields, Jordan Love. Jordan Love, first game without Aaron Rodgers being in the building, being the most popular guy in the organization. It's now Jordan Love's team. Will he seize the opportunity and take off? We'll see. For the Bears, a lot of improvements were made around Justin Fields. Will he be allowed to show how good he is in the passing game while still running the ball and everything like that? But do we just see a much better kind of vibe around Chicago? DJ Moore's your new number one. I guess from all reports, he and Justin Fields have had a great rapport in practice and everything like that. So I think the Bears are in for a pretty good season. What that looks like in win total, I'm not sure, but it definitely should be an improvement over last season. As well, I can probably say the same for Green Bay. The expectation is probably Jordan Love give us some type of hope. I think he does that this year, but give me the Bears in this one minus the 1.5. Okay, so we got the last three games. Got Dolphins, Chargers. This one could be maybe the highest scoring game of the weekend. Two pretty good offenses. I would take maybe the Dolphins defense over the Chargers, although the Chargers defense is pretty good as well. But I ultimately think Tua, along with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, proved to be too much for a Chargers team that, like I said, on paper, very talented. We'll also have to see how has that playoff loss from last season lingered into this season. Probably not, but if they do lose to the Dolphins, it's going to be something that might be brought up. So I'm just letting you know. Okay, so Sunday night we have Giants, Cowboys, which I think on some other show talked about. Seems like this is like always been the opening Sunday night matchup. I doubt it has been, but it just feels that way. I'm going with a bit of a upset here because I think a lot of people are taking the Cowboys minus 3.5. I'm actually going to take the Giants plus 3.5. I think there's a good chance the Giants could win this game, to be honest with you. Daniel Jones has been progressing. He took a step forward last season. I think he takes another step this year. Barkley's in the mix. Brian Daboll running the offense again. I feel like they're going to be... I think they're going to be the better team on the field Sunday night. Cowboys have all the talent, but I don't know. Something about Dak just seems off to me. And because of that is why if you saw the episode with the playoff predictions, I was not confident in, how I had the Cowboys, how far I had them going. I do think there's a big boom or bust with the Cowboys. Like I said, talent-wise, you could say NFC title game. But with the history of the Cowboys, wild card round exit. I do think the playoffs they'll make. They seem to do that anyway. We'll see if the team looks any different. Because I do have some questions about them, and I think they can answer some of them against the Giants team. I think will be improved offensively. Jalen Hyatt is now entered into the equation. We'll see. Dak Prescott made a promise. He's not going to throw those interceptions this season. Well, we'll get game one to see how right he was. Then the final game, Jets, Bills. I'm taking the Jets plus 2.5. You guys already know. Not completely sold on the Jets or Aaron Rodgers. But I probably have even more questions about Buffalo, to be honest with you. So I'll take the Jets here. Key for me, the Bills are going to be, I guess, debuting their two tight end set. Will that change Josh Allen's approach and his mindset? My biggest problem with him was there'd be times where it seemed like he, I don't know, for whatever reason, just threw random jump balls for no reason that I feel like an offense like Buffalo does not need. Would love to see them, rely on their running game a little bit more outside of Josh Allen, because Josh Allen has to be like the running portion as well as the throwing, being the quarterback. Can they feature one or two guys in the backfield who could take that pressure off of Josh Allen? And for the Jets, their defense, will they be able to create some turnovers on Josh Allen? And then offensively, can Aaron Rodgers silence myself as one of those who are critical of him and have a good opening night game? Then we have over to the right side. So this week, currently 0-1. Then I have the overall there. I might add percentage since I did throw out there, but I wanted to go 55%. Or maybe wait later in the season to add that. I don't know, we'll see. But let me know in the comment section as well. If you like the graphic, you want to change anything about it, you want to change anything about the segment, I'm definitely open to that. But yeah, that's all I got. Like I said, I'm loving this new platform, so it's all good with me. As we are back here, so thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this. The episode will be out a little bit later, but definitely before kickoff on Sunday. So make sure you check this out, see my picks and everything. Also want to thank those of you on Instagram. The reel I had about the Bengals winning the Super Bowl is like up over 1,000 views. I appreciate that. I was definitely shocked by that when I got that notification. I have seen some comments in there. I have responded back to them. But yeah, I definitely want to thank all of you for that. That means a lot to me. That you guys really appreciated that. So I will have another reel out on Instagram later, as well as TikTok, where they did pretty well over there as well. So thanks to all of you. I will have my socials up at the end of the episode. Make sure you follow me on all those. Like I said, we're just trying to have some fun here. So definitely appreciate that. What else is there? So you can let me know in the comment section as well. Which game are you watching this weekend? And I guess if you have YouTube TV, did you get the Sunday ticket? You doing the multi-view? What 4 games are you watching? So I'll say for me, look, I'm going to watch Patriots-Eagles as a Patriots fan, of course. I will watch the Falcons game because I am in that area. I do watch the Falcons, so I will watch that game. Outside of those 2 games, the game, like I said, I just have to see Bengals-Browns. That's the game for me. So like I said, you let me know which one in the comment section. I guess I should give a bold prediction. Oh, the Texans one should count. I did say earlier on I'll give you a bold prediction. That's probably my bold prediction. The Texans covering against the Ravens. I hope I'm right. If I am, you'll see. I'll definitely remind you because the graphic will be there to tell you. So I guess to set up the next week of shows, because I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, although this past week was a little different because I did switch platforms and everything. So Monday I couldn't do. I did Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I believe. I ended up doing, or I might have done Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. I don't know. But the Monday, Wednesday, Friday should be back on track this coming week. So Monday will be previewing Monday Night Football. Jets Bills, will dive deeper into that game. Also, any other news that happens around sports will be on the Monday episode. Wednesday, we'll take a look back at Thursday, Sunday, and the Monday games. Bring up the graphics, show you how the picks went, how I did. We'll review that on Wednesday. Then Friday, we'll do it all again with Week 2 NFL picks. Then, like I said, at the start of each episode, any big news that happens across sports, we'll go into that. But trust me, the main event of these episodes, at least for the football season, will be NFL related. So hopefully you tune in. Like I said, like, subscribe, share, follow, hit the notification bell so you get alerted when I do drop an episode. Like I said, having so much fun. Loving the new platform over here on Riverside FM. It's not sponsored or anything, but yeah, I feel like I needed to say it. Actually, I could just do this. Powered by Riverside. Yeah, so look, the app gave me buttons and stuff to mess with, so I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. So thanks for everything. Be safe out there. God bless. I'll catch you in the next episode. All right, I'm out of here. Enjoy the games. Make sure you come back Monday for the episode. And thanks a lot for everything that you guys are doing. You guys are killing it. So I appreciate all of you. I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you later.